Welcome to the show that takes up no more than 5 minutes of your time, but could help you gain massive real estate knowledge. It's 5 Minutes in Real Estate with best-selling author Shane Willis.
Hello, it's Shane Willis, Pensacola real estate expert, bringing you today's episode. It's Monday, June 4th, 2018. Hope you had a good weekend. Apologize about not having Friday's episode up. I didn't record it. I actually took my wife out for a nice little mini vacation, surprise vacation. And we got offered to go a little earlier than I had anticipated. Delta contacted us, said, hey, if you get on an earlier flight, we'll give you some connections. And she didn't have to work that day, so we got up early and snuck down to Key West for the weekend. It was fun. I'd never been there, believe it or not. That was the one part of Florida that I had never been before. Now I can say I've visited pretty much all of Florida. I just had not been south to Homestead. So, at least on that side. I got down to Key West, interesting place, lots of fun. Maybe 1 or 12 more adult beverages than I should have had, but I'm sure the trainers are going to kick my butt about that. But you know what? That's living life. We still live life some. It's not all work and no play. But anyways, I know we didn't tune into this podcast in order to just hear about my vacation, although I could talk about an entire episode about the Ernest Hemingway house and the southernmost point and all that fun stuff. But let's talk real estate, shall we? Had some interesting stuff come across my my desk this morning that kind of spurred this on. I knew we wanted to talk about this because first week of June, first Monday in June, I'd like to talk about, hey, why buying during the summer is a good time. There's a lot of times to buy in the summer. One of the biggest ones, and one of the reasons we see a big push for the next month and a half, 2 months, is for school, obviously. You want to get kids in the right schools. They're out for the summer, so this would be the time to kind of make that transition to get set up for the fall. I'm going to hand it over to school. So I wanted to put that, I normally talk about that, but we actually came up with 4 other reasons, because I didn't want to, that one's so obvious. So I didn't want to name it 5 reasons, I wanted to name it 4. I don't know why, I just did. But I wanted to come up with 4 other reasons why buying would buying be a good time during the summer. And something, I had already drawn all this up and ready to go. And then something came across my desk. If you follow the show, you know that I get a report every Monday morning about inventory levels broken down by price points. And so where are we at in a seller's market or a buyer's market broken down by price points per county? Not just overall, but by price points. And I found something interesting today. I've seen inventory levels start to rise some. And what I found interesting, well, let me set the basis up. I am going to get to these 4 levels to buy, but let me set the basis up for what I'm about to tell you. 6 months worth of inventory is considered a normal market. Okay? Anything under 6 months starts to become a seller's market. Anything under 3 months is considered a hyper seller's market. Anything over 9 months is considered a buyer's market or a hyper buyer's market. So we've been in a hyper seller's market all the way up to about the $350,000 to $400,000 price range. In a while, everything's been under 3 months worth of inventory. But what I found interesting today was that the 200 to 250 price point, 200 to 250,000 price point, actually went over the 3 months mark. We're at 3.8 months worth of inventory right now. What really got me more fascinated was the 250 to 300 is at a 5.2 months worth of inventory. We're almost back in a normal market. The 300 to 350 mark was at a 7.1 months inventory, meaning there's more of those properties out there right now. That tips the scales more towards a buyer's market for that price point. Now, not by much. So don't be getting crazy with the offers. All right, hey, I'll offer you $1,200,000 less than, stop. But it's becoming a normal market. So as a buyer, you need to know that it's not a seller's market. And as a seller, you need to know that it's not a buyer's market. That market tips slightly, ever so slightly, to the buyer side. but is considered a normal market. And I'm seeing that because I'm seeing some inventories of those price points last a little longer. So if you're looking at buying and you happen to be buying in that price point, okay, you may have a little bit more inventory to look at right now as opposed to when I was talking to you a few months ago. All right, so 4 reasons why summer's a good time to buy. Number 1, prices are going to continue to rise. They just are. Prices are rising constantly right now. Even in those inventory levels that are back to a normal market, we're still seeing them rise. All right, I've got a Well, apparently I got a phone call there that kind of busted some stuff up. So, anyways, prices are going to rise. I've got a link here to the CoreLogic Home Prices Insights report. It reports that home prices have appreciated 7% over the last 12 months. So if we start having this conversation in Christmas, you may see another 3% increase in price for a $300,000 house. That's an additional $9,000. Prices are continuing to rise. I was telling sellers 4 or 5 months ago in those price points, now's the time to sell. And everybody thinks, well, you're a realtor, so it's always the time to sell, it's always the time to buy. Wrong. I'm not that guy. That's why they call me the Pensacola real estate expert. Is because I'm going to tell you when exactly and why. Okay, right now as a seller, you just need to understand what you're fighting against. If there's some reasons that you need to sell, sell. Because prices have risen. As a buyer, this is a better time right now, especially in those price points. Now, as you start to get lower, it's okay. We're just going to have to understand what we're going up against. So prices are going to continue to rise. Mortgage rates are projected to increase. Freddie Mac just came out with another survey. They are you've heard me say this, 2, 3, 4 times a week, that the Feds are going to raise rates. They've already raised rates once. They're going to raise it 2, if not 3 times more this year. Mortgage interest rates are going to rise, meaning that your buying power is going to go down. So there's a really good reason to buy this summer, and that's because mortgage interest rates are still low. You can still be in the 4s. Whereas if we wait until the end of the year or next year, you're probably going to be in the 5s. I would venture to say normal mortgage rates are going to be in the 5s by the end of this year. That's kind of my projection. Unless something seriously changes, that's my projection. We're going to be in the 5s. All right. Number 3, one of the reasons, 4 reasons to buy this summer. Listen, whether you're renting or buying, you're paying somebody's mortgage. Most of the time, you're paying somebody's mortgage. All right, I own quite a few rentals. Matter of fact, I'm meeting with one of my clients today, a good friend of mine. We're heading over to a builder because there's 2 lots side by side. They've put a new design out. We like the area. Both of us are looking to add to our rental portfolio. So we're probably going to be picking those up. I'll pick up a rental. He'll pick up a rental. Side by side, we understand what numbers make sense. They make sense. We're not really competing with each other. Instead, it's just these numbers make sense. So you're paying someone's mortgage. If you're renting that house from me, that property, one of the reasons we're renting it is because we want to be in the Tate district with some new rentals. There's a whole lot of growth going on in Navy Federal. We want to be in that area. So I know there's some apartments being built. I don't think that's what people are looking for when they're looking for a single family residence with a garage. But if you're renting from me, you're paying my mortgage. Now, if you go to buy, you're paying your own mortgage. I have, at the end of this month, June 30th, I have one of my longest tenants. She has rented this property from me for 6 years. Been a fantastic tenant. Fantastic tenant. Put me on auto pay. She paid me every month on the 1st for the first year. And then at the end of the year, when we went to go renew the lease, she told me, she said, listen, I want to put you on auto pay, but they will not pull out of my account until the money hits on the 1st. So you won't have the check on the 1st, but I'll put you on auto pay if you'll let me, pay it late. Now remember, she had already paid me for a year on time, on the 1st. So I had no problems with that. So she's been on auto pay for years now. Just called me, and because we knew this past October was when her lease was up. She asked me to move it to July 1st. To do a shorter term lease. I knew what was happening. It was fine. So she called me up and said, hey, listen, bought a house. I'm actually closing middle of June, June 18th. First home My only disappointment was she didn't use me as a realtor. But I asked her. I said, well, now you know I'm in real estate. How come you didn't? She goes, I just felt awkward because I knew that I'd be leaving you, as your tenant. So I actually explained I was very excited for her. Had no problems. To me, it works out fine. I've got to do a little work to the property here July 1st, but she's been, remember she's been renting for me for 6 years. Never raised rates. Somebody puts you on auto pay and does not, I didn't have hardly any maintenance calls, just our regular checkups, that's about it. She was a fantastic tenant. I just didn't go up on rate on her. My wife was looking at me as we were reviewing the portfolio, I think it was last year. And she goes, how come this property has not seen a raise in rates? And I'm like, well, I just hadn't. But it's easier now. So that property, I know I'm not going to have any trouble renting it out because it's 3-2, 1-car garage, right there off Blue Angel Parkway. I know I'm not going to have any trouble renting it out, and I know I'm not going to have any trouble renting it out, raising the rates. So for me, it's fine. But for her, for the last 6 years, she's been paying my mortgage. For her now, she finally gets a chance to start paying her own. I'm happy for her. I really am. She's built up her credit enough. She got a promotion since she's worked it, or since she's rented my house. It's worked out great. So you're going to be paying somebody's mortgage, whether you're paying mine, a landlord's, or your own. Choice is yours. But that's one good reason to seriously consider buying this summer. And finally, maybe it's time to move on from renting. Maybe it's time to move on. Maybe it's time to move up. Owning a property, there's something totally different about it. So the cost of a home, this is what I wrote. The cost of the home is determined by two major components: the price of the home and the current mortgage rates, which appears both are on the rise. But what if it wasn't? Would you still wait? You don't want to be pressured into buying it because the cost of the home and the interest rates are on the rise. But if you could, wouldn't it make more sense to own a property and own it this summer as opposed to renting for a whole nother year? All right, I put a whole bunch of links in there so that you can see some of these reports that I was referencing, but there was 4 other reasons. And then, of course, there's school, so pay attention to that. That's all I got for you today. As always, if you hadn't subscribed, you get the tips, tricks, graphs, infographics that we do on Friday, except this past Friday when I snuck out of town. Get over to 5minutesinrealestate.com. That's 5minutesinrealestate.com. Also, if you have not subscribed to the podcast to get notified, we are on iTunes, Google Play, Android. I think Spotify comes on this month. SoundCloud. We've got most of our episodes up on SoundCloud, but SoundCloud seems to have a little bit of trouble with our upload. We're hoping to get that fixed this week. iHeartRadio announced that, hey, we're there too. So wherever you're listening at, get subscribed, hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a good comment. If you got a bad comment, don't do that. I know that I'm out of breath when I'm recording these. You don't have to put that in the comments. It's because I'm walking, and I try and walk quickly as I record this. It's one of those multitasking things. And also, finally, also, same thing. As always, I never ask for any money for these. It does cost me money to put these out, but I try and bring value to the listener. So if you have found value in this or any other episode, I always ask that you share it on social media. Have a great start of the week.